the update to the Forbidden Limited list, I think, is really, really kind of good of an idea. I had my first locals today. We didn't do it with the new Forbidden Limited list, but I don't think that there was anything. I don't think there was anything that was major. Um, like Yummies weren't there. Neither were Mitsurugis. Neither were Malice. I think the only thing that I saw was Draco Towers. The player was on like 3 Mululu, absolutely fine, and then there was a Radiant Typhoon player who was on 3 Harpy's Featherstorm. But honestly, I don't think they make a mass difference. And what I mean by that is, yes, of course, they are effective cards, but throughout today's locals, they weren't. It wasn't like the well, I could be wrong, but it didn't look like the Radiant Typhoon player won because of Harpy's Featherstorm. It didn't look like the Dracotail player won because of Mululu. So it was something that we could kind of take into account of how it affects it a little bit anyway. So just bear me 2 seconds. One Regenesis Diabell. Okay. But it was a good local, so I enjoyed it. I went with Cool Tunes again, so that was kind of cool. And they're not really affected by the Forbidden Limited list. If anything, they're kind of waiting for Burst Protocol to get the Zarlian, the Chainbound Dragon. So, okay, so let's just have a look at the Forbidden cards. So, Barrier Statue of Torrent, Malice, Q, Whitebinder, Herald of the Arclight, and Harpy's Featherstorm. So, to be completely honest with you, I'm not surprised by any of these. Whitebinder, not so much a big surprise. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if on our Forbidden, I can't remember on our Forbidden and Limited predictions whether we said about like what Malice we went. I think we all chose Red Ransom. So, Mikhail says like rip Synchron. Yeah, Herald is probably like the biggest loss for Synchron, but I've already shown that you can play it without it, and then I think the Zarlian will be a really good card for you to help with it, because it shouldn't be so hard to play the Zarlian, which is I'm so happy that that's a super rare. So it's like a lot cheaper and a lot easier to get hold of. Let's move at the limited. This is probably the biggest section, not only with the amount that was changed, but how effective they were. So like Mululu, Jockle, Holisu, Snatchy, Habakuri, Case for K9, and Ketu. So Yummies have, and I could be wrong, by the time this kind of takes a little bit of shape and people kind of experiment a little bit more, but it does kind of seem that the one Snatchy has completely decimated Yummies. Like, there is no kind of like boundary around it. Like, at least with the Draco Towers, what it does is it pushes people to play the branded cards that are coming out in Burst Protocol, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. The K9s, it means that pure K9 can't be utilised as much, and the exact same thing with the Vanquish Soul Holly Sue. I still feel, and Shane shares this kind of approach as well, that Vanquish Soul K9 is still going to be one of, if not the strongest deck right now. Because the Mitsurugis are still strong. Like, they can kind of replace the Habakuri in some ways or another, but it's not going to be as... I think the issue with the Habakuri was like, okay, cool, stop you getting to this. And then they're like, I've still got it already. And also the other issue is the fact that it's a tuner. Not tuner, duh. It's a ritual monster. So actually losing that ritual monster means that they need to either up their Futsu count or up their Murakumo count, and that's not going to be that ideal for them. Case for K9 and Ketu are pretty much the same as Mululu and Yockle, is that they're consistency pieces. It now means that for it's actually quite important for the Ketu, to be fair, because the Ketu, like, going first is not that much of an issue, but going second, the Ketu giving you that ability to search and then fuse was is pretty massive, to be fair. So the Case for K9, I don't think is... I think 1 is fine. I think that's kind of what you would be playing anyway. I think the Jockle is obviously like a much bigger hit than that. To semi-limits, Draw and Lockbird. This isn't like a massive surprise to me. I thought that they would keep Draw and Lockbird around a little bit longer at maximum power, but we have had a lot of talk about Draw and Lockbird. There are a lot of decks that just lose to Draw and Lockbird straight away. When stuff like this happens, the question is, well, does it make sense to put it to 2? It definitely takes away consistency, but then it also kind of puts it into that realm of, you know, the counter argument is always, Droll is now more sacky. It's like, if you see that Droll, you're like, wow, you had one less way of getting it, yet you've got it. But I feel the counteraction of like Droll would be really, really good in order to counter stuff like the Maul Chummies and and like the competitive side of it. But then it also really did hurt some rogue decks. Like Dark World was so scared of Joel Lot, but it was crazy. Not that it's gone completely. I just feel that this is going to be one of them steps where they test out the format and they go, are people dropping Droll? Is Droll not as important as a lot of people first thought? We can bring it back to 3. Or is Droll too much at 2 still? And they're either going to make it that really, really sacky one-off, or they're going to go, right, okay, it's still too bad at 2. Let's just ban it completely. And then the final one, this is obviously quite big as well, actually. So the Black Collapse Serpent and White Dragon Wyvern Buster, we all kind of expected this. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Dark Grepher, again, I don't think it really affects the current game state, nor does Zodiac Dryden. Like, that's already been there. Christian Inclusion, I think, is actually a really good kit bring back, but they've kind of done the same. Like, Christian Inclusion, Vanquish Soul Razen, and Stake Your Soul, all coming back at 3, was basically like, okay, cool, we see that Yugioh was a bit of an issue. So rather than letting you have this abusable engine, we'll let you have back your normal cards and take away this engine for you. So where you lose 2 Yugioh, you go, okay, cool, I'm going to put the 2 Razen in. Where you lose 2 Case for K9, you go, okay, cool, I'm going to put the 2 Stake Your Soul back in. Same for the Inclusion. Absolutely fine. So I don't mind this. They kind of took with one hand and gave back with the other. Change of Heart and Snatch Steal, I don't think is a big... It's not really that big of an issue. A lot of people are like, I'm shocked that it came back. But it is quite funny to see how being at the right time and right place kind of affects this stuff. And what I mean by that is Snatch Steal came back in like 2014. Came back to 1, it was way too powerful, got put on the Forbidden List straight away. Change of Heart comes back to 1, everyone's like, oh, this could be a little bit dodgy. And they put Mind Control to 2 or 1 or whatever it was. And now they're like, here, have as many as you want. And I think it's just because we have so many cards that, like, multiple Change of Hearts and Snatch Steals aren't game defining anymore as what they used to be. So really, really good. I'm going to be back in about 2 seconds. Let me just get some tissue. I should probably have some tissue next to me. And then before anyone like goes crazy, it's like, oh, he's just gone off to get tissue. What is he doing? Like, I said this a couple of times. I am like absolutely stinking with a cold, so I'll try and do this away from the microphone so you don't get it. Probably pick that up in the background. Yeah. Okay. So that's my kind of thoughts on the Forbidden Limited list. I actually think it's quite a good list. A lot of people are like, it hasn't done enough, but until we see the competitive effects, we can't really like fully judge. And what I mean by that is, I still think that Mitsu is gone. Not Mitsu, sorry, Yummy. Yummy kind of seem to have gone. Like, they just don't have anything. Like, the loss of Snatchy is actually massive. It means that Yummies need to be played as a hybrid. I didn't expect... thank you, Mike. Michael, I'll just... Yeah, one of them days, power through. I wanted to get the live stream done. So... Yeah, the Mitsurugi was never going to get decimated. The Habakuri was quite a logical hit because the deck still plays. It still becomes a hybrid. It also means that like Yummies need to be a hybrid style deck. So, yeah. I think this is going to be the last format for Vanquish Soul and K9s. I would rather that they, like, forbode. I'd like to think that they forbode Yugioh. Like, everything that's gone to 1, I reckon they could end up bumping to Forbidden if it makes an effect. They might also see that, oh wow, Yummy Snatchy to 1 was too aggressive. We can bring that back to 2. Dracatel is still well strong, just because this is kind of one that I don't always agree with, but it just does push people. Like, people are going to adapt it anyway. But there's no way people are like, oh, we'll cut Mululu down to 2 and then we'll put in 2 of the branded cards. It's kind of been forced upon them now to be like, well, you don't have an option now. You are getting rid of Mululu. Yeah. Thank you very much, Wyvern. Um, so yeah, Burst Protocol. Let's talk about Burst Protocol. Burst Protocol. I think it's like a really, really good set, but it's a really good set for the range of cards for the rogue players than it is for the meta players. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're looking as a meta player, right, you're either going to start jumping on the Radiant Typhoon hype. So straight away, there's two cards you're going to need from it. One being a common, one's an ultra rare. For the other meta cards, you're going to want Forbidden Crown. Okay, so that's like the highest value card right now on pre-orders. For the overall fans, like, you've got Rescue A support, which is really, really good for that deck. You've got the brand new DDD card. Now, I'm not saying you'll go out and buy a box just to get the DDD card, but you might buy a box and be like, I'll get the DDD card, I'm good to go. And then whatever else I pull is a bonus. You've also got... You've also got the Dark Lord cards. Again, that'll be more for rogue players and casual players, which is absolutely fine. We've got the Zarian. I think Zarian is so criminally underrated. Like, I think I would be picking up, like, making sure I've got a playset of that after sneak events. There's the, not Mischief of the Gnomes, but the other new of the Gnomes quick play spell card. Again, is a common, which I think is really good. So what I mean is it's very top heavy. Like, if you look at the secret rares, there's like 3 secret rares that are worth like 30, 40, 50 pounds. So if you're looking to get value, you might not going to be buying this in abundance. But if you're like, you know what, I actually want the DDD card, I want the Zarlian, and then there's a couple of other commons and stuff that I want. Yes, of course you can buy them separately, but it's one of these ones where you go, right, cool, I'll buy a deck, I'll buy a box, and get the cards that I want, and then whatever else I have is like great trade fodder. The new GMX deck as well, I think, is really fun. Again, it's not on the level of Mitsurugi's right now. That might change in the future. But again, it's just a really kind of cool deck that works with Dynamorphias. Yes, I'm well aware of how it can bridge the Habakuri, but I'm not counting that as usable. Just dinos in general. Like, I love the fact that it's dinos, reptiles, and everything else. So it actually means that Archosaur gets a little bit more utility, which I think is absolutely fine. You got the Rockets. Again, Rockets are going to be a bit more of a casual. I'm slightly surprised that they didn't bring back Savage Dragon, only because I thought that they could have brought that back and then pushed the Rocket a little bit more. But you've got new Art Mages. You've got the brand new Elven Notes, which I quite like the idea of Elven Notes. Like I've said a couple of times, the more and more I play, I used to really like Xyz, but then the more and more I play, I'm like, I actually really like Synchro decks. Like, Fusion decks are absolutely fine. Like, I'm not like, oh, I hate Link decks or I hate this, but I feel like I have the most fun with Synchro decks. So that's kind of cool. I'm trying to think what else is in this set. Like, there's loads of stuff. So, but if you're looking for like the top end value, you're looking at the brand new Albaz, Dragon in White. You're looking at the Forbidden Crown. Okay, they're your 2 top end secret rares. Then you've got your Elven Notes, which will be just for the Elven Note deck if you're playing it. You've then also got Rescue Ace, which is like the cheapest secret rare. I think like pre-orders are something like £5 a copy, which is absolutely fine. What you've got to remember is like extra deck monsters that are either like they need to be like SP Little Knight level that every deck will play it. That's when you're going to get high levels of value. If it's the branded star deck, yes, it's good, or the branded synchro, yes, it's good, but it's one of the ones where like 80% of decks will play it, not 100% of decks like SP Little Knight. So it's not going to reach that level. Forbidden Crown, I think, is all going to rely on YCS 300. If America and Europe all the top decks feature Forbidden Crown, and Forbidden Crown is used and abused to like no degree, then that card will go up in price. The branded, the Albaz in White, I don't think is that big of an issue, because it's one of the ones that, again, the deck that it's played in needs to become the number 1 deck for it to be a high value card. It's not a Fuelos, okay? It's not a generic card like that. I don't even think that Crown is the same level as a Droplet. It's just a really good... It's basically an upgraded version of Forbidden Chalice. So, and really what it comes down to is like, right, okay, well, does my deck want cards to be sent to the graveyard? Yes. Okay, well, I'll use Forbidden Droplet. Does my card have the ability... Like, does my card not want to send cards to the graveyard? And you're like, probably not. And then you're like, do I want to be spending £150 right now? No, probably not. Okay, go for Forbidden Chalice. If you're like, yeah, I like the fact that my opponent can't respond with monster effects, you'll get Crown. I think, remember as well, this is sneak weekend. I reckon Crown, you will get, I think everyone will start buying them and it will go a little bit of a bump in price. Because what will happen is, release day will come along and everyone that's going to YCS Dortmund or the YCS 300s will be like, right, I need Forbidden Crowns. Like all my friends keep telling me I need Forbidden Crowns. So what will happen is on release day, Forbidden Crown will be like £55 online. People will then start to undercut the online and they'll start to sell it at £50 a copy, right? And then the next person's like, oh, I really want to get rid of mine. So they'll start selling at 45. And then I'll go, right, I want to get rid of mine. So I want to sell mine at 40. So what you'll do is you'll get this little pocket on release day where people will be buying them and people will be demanding them for the YCS 300. But that's all going to be risk and reward, because what's going to happen is, if it does amazingly well, then it goes up in price. It will become like a £60, £70 secret rare. If it doesn't do well or doesn't feature that well or doesn't put in as much work, all of those people that bought it specifically for the YTS will then be like, this is crap, I don't want it, and sell it. So then it will have a bit of a dip afterwards. What I'm saying is there'll be a little gap on release day where all of those people chasing it will already have it, and then there'll be excess in the market. It's the classic economical standard of supply and demand. On release day, the demand will be really high. As the day goes on, the demand will start to drop, but the supply will still be quite high, because there'll be people who are like, oh, people will rate this card up really highly, I'm going to go buy more boxes, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. So it all kind of fluxes up and fluxes down. And then after the YCF, if it does really well, you're in the money, you'll probably make like £20 per copy. And if you're not, you're probably going to lose £20 per copy. So it's kind of like a bit of a flip-flop. So what I'm trying to say is it's not a full loss level. So it should not be getting £100. It's arguably not droplet level. So it shouldn't really be getting what droplet had on release, which I think was like 60 quid, which is absolutely fine because that's kind of where it's at right now. But, and as an example, last night, the pre-orders went live. Droplets went on at 55, I believe, and they sold out, and then they got relisted at 60 or 70, and they weren't selling out. And then another distributor came online and put them up at 55. Now, I checked again this morning. They might be sold out now, I don't know. But I checked again last night, and this morning, and they were still there at 55 a copy. So it kind of shows me that those that were desperate for it picked it up at 55. 55 seems to be the bottle out level. If they go to 50 quid, people might start jumping into them. So there's still this unknown about it. And the only other way that it becomes more valued is if not a lot of people open this set. But remember, over the entire world, you'll have people opening up the sneak events. People will be picking them up. You'll have those individual distributors having to open up loads of this set to fulfill the pre-orders that they've already sent out or already sold. And then the idea is that after that point, if Forbidden Crown is a lot easier to be seen, then there'll be, again, the exact same supply and demand. There'll be more in supply for the demand that is being asked. And once the supply equates the demand, the price goes down. If the supply is lower than the demand, the price goes up. It's just standard economics. So, you know, not that I'm here to give you an economics lesson, but just to give you a bit of an idea on that one. Like when I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I really want an Archfiend core, just because I think Archfiends will be really, really fun. And I think that was something like £18, okay? I would love a Dark Lord core. I think a Dark Lord core is something like £30, and that's only because it's supers and then the secret rare monster, so that's easy to get hold of. I would love to get rockets, and that's really, really cheap. I think that's like 20 quid as well, because they've only got two. It might be a little bit more because they've got the Bomber Dragon. Elven Notes, I think, is the most expensive core, and even then, it's like £110, but that's only one secret rare and one ultra rare. And the thing with Elven Notes is, it's only Elven Notes. Like, you're not going to get Elven Notes if you are wanting to play... Like, you might want to play Elven Note K9 or whatever, but what I'm trying to say is you're not going to get Elven Notes as a sub-engine for Dracotals or anything like that. You're not going to use them as a sub-engine. It's not the K9 level. It's not the branded level. And the only reason that the branding is going to be a lot hyper than everything is for the pure fact that the Dracotals. But that being said, again, a lot of people will be focusing on like, oh, how do I make my Dracotal deck survive? Get the branded cards. So then the demand for those cards will be a lot higher. And a lot of people will overlook the Crown in that sense. And again, that's even more of an argument of where Crown's price will adapt and fluctuate over time. So, That's pretty much it. That's all I've really got to talk about. I'm not saying that Burst Protocol is the best set of the year. I actually think the better set of the year is, well, not including the core set, is the Rarity Collection 5. Including the core set, it's definitely the next one, the next set, the Blazing Dominion, for the pure fact that it's got the Enneacraft, the Heck of Hands, the Cool Tunes, plus it's got the new Judgment card as well, so it's really good. Am I planning on making an Elf Note deck? I am, but I'm waiting until after Sneak Weekend. I like to see what I can pull from Sneak Peek Weekend. But I'm not really focusing on the Elf Notes. I think Elf Notes will be one of the ones that, again, if nothing happens at YCS, people will start having these cores and start selling them a lot cheaper. It's only one secret and, one ultra rare? So the secret rare should drop to about £10 a copy, and then the ultra rare will probably be about £5. So I reckon you could probably pick up an Elven Note or Elf Note core for 50, 60 quid, I think. So, you know, I think there's a little bit of flex on that one. I want to try and aim for, like, I'll definitely be doing like a DDD update, because that's very easy. That's just one new card and it kind of changes the combos and plays. I'm going to still be testing Cool Tunes because of the Zarlian. I'll probably update Synchros as well after I've tested how Zarlian fits into Synchros, which would be really kind of cool. I would love to do Rockets. I would love to do GMXs. There's a lot I want to do and a lot I want to test. Dark Fun. When is the next YCS? So the next YCS is the 13th and 14th of February, which is next month. So that is YCS 300. So that's Dortmund for Europe, and then I think there's like 2 or 3 in America. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I'm pretty much going to wrap it up there because I'm slowly... It's actually quite chilled. I could sit here and just like relax a little bit, but then I can't imagine that you lot at home would enjoy me just, you know, I might actually end up start snoring, not gonna lie, just because I'm like absolutely shattered. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. If you do have any final questions, by all means, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, always drop a comment on a YouTube video. I 99% of the time get to see them. And then when I do get to see them, I try to respond as soon as I possibly can and kind of go from there. But thank you so much for every single one of you watching on this one. Sorry, it's a little bit of a quicker one. I'm like I said, I am struggling at the moment. I'm going to go get some food as well, like proper food. I'm starving. And then go back from there. So have a very, very good evening. Thank you so much for the support. There'll be more coming out, and obviously don't forget to watch the brand new kind of like continued or longer form content, the locals experience. So episode 2 will come out on Monday, and then episode 3 will come out next Monday, which will be a special sneak event and like sneak event sealed and sneak event advanced kind of update as well, which is really kind of cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.